What's up everybody? In this video I'm going to compare the OnePlus Nord N10 5G with the Samsung Galaxy A12. The N10 5G was released in October of 2020 while the A12 was released in November of 2020. So these are fairly newer devices. The N10 5G is obviously a 5G device while the A12 is a 4G LTE device. For the overall size, the N10 5G is 6.4 inches tall, 2.9 inches wide, 0.35 inches thick. The A12 is 6.4 inches tall, almost 3 inches wide, 0.35 inches thick. So these devices are almost exactly the same in overall size. For the weight, the N10 weighs 6.7 ounces, while the A12 is more hefty at 7.23 ounces. For the build quality, the N10 5G is Gorilla Glass 3 on the front, plastic back, plastic frame. The A12 has glass front, plastic back, plastic frame. So pretty much the same thing. These are plastic devices, but that explains the low price, so it's okay. Both of these phones are rocking the same size display at 6.5 inches, so it's a very typical sized Android phone nowadays with the screen. Similar screen to body ratios. N10 is 84%, 82% on the A12. The N10 5G has an IPS LCD display, rocking 90 Hz refresh rate, so which is pretty good. The A12 is rocking a PLS IPS display, which I figure is 60 Hz. Resolution, you got a 1080p Full HD display on the Nord N10 5G. The A12 has a 720p display, a regular HD display. So when you translate to PPIs, you got 406 PPI on the N10, 270 PPI on the A12, so lower resolution screen on the A12. For the software, the N10 5G has Android 10 with Oxygen OS on top. The A12 has Android 10 when it launched, but it's upgradable to Android 11 with Samsung UI on top. So the A12 is rocking a newer version of Android, but it has the Samsung skin on top, which a lot of people like. The N10 5G has a more stock Android feel to it. You're probably not going to get many updates on either of these devices. The Nord N10 5G reportedly is only going to get one update, hasn't gotten it yet. The A12, Samsung is probably going to try to upgrade it or update the software at least, a couple of years. It's trying to be competitive in that market. For the chipset, the N10 is rocking the Snapdragon 690 5G processor. For the A12, we got a MediaTek Helio P35 processor. So between these two, you got a better processor in the Nord N10 5G. The MediaTek is, pretty much low end, trying to save some bucks on the processor by Samsung. For the most part, they're both gonna rock apps, fairly the same way. But I would figure that the Nord N10 5G will be a little bit snappier and will last. It'll be better in the long run. It'll just last longer as time goes by. The A12, I'm sure, will be sluggish over time. Regardless, both of these phones, for the average user, will rock and regular apps like YouTube, WhatsApp, your text messaging, your Google Maps, stuff like that. Every music, stuff like that. You won't notice too much of a difference between these. Performance will be almost the same, but everything will be a little bit faster on the Nord N10 5G. For the internal storage, you got 128 gigs on the N10. You got 32 or 64 gigs on the A12, depending on which model you get and what carrier you get it from. So double check when you get that. But either way, the Nord N10 kills it with 128 gigs. I say most people will be definitely happy with that. And even if you do need more storage on either of these devices, they have a expandable storage via micro SD card slot. So storage is not an issue on either of these devices, but by default, the N10 5G has you covered right off the bat with 128 gigs. That's on par with $1,000 devices. So that's a big win for the N10 5G. Very impressive. A12 with the 32 or 64, it should be okay for most people that aren't power users. For the cameras, the N10 has 4 cameras on the back. 64 megapixel main, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel depth, 2 megapixel macro. A12 also has 4 cameras on the back. 48 megapixel wide main camera, 5 megapixel ultra wide, 2 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth. So for the cameras on the back, they're pretty much on par with each other. Samsung is good with their cameras. N10, with OnePlus, not so much. They haven't been really known for having good cameras, so I'm gonna say that both of these are almost the same. When it takes to regular people taking regular pictures and videos, nothing too fancy. When it comes to video though, the N10 has 4K video capability while the A12 has 1080p, so a little bit of an advantage for video on the N10 5G, but regardless, you'll be impressed with both of these cameras. You'll be very happy with them for the everyday user. On the selfie side, the Nord N10 has a 16 megapixel shooter, the A12 has an 8 megapixel shooter. Both of them shoot video in 1080p for your selfie videos. Both have the nifty headphone jack on board, which will make a lot of people happy, make your life easier if you do need to manage to plug in your headphones, your mic, or connect it to your car via aux cord to listen to music. So that feature is being removed from flagship devices, the newer ones anyways. And for your wireless devices, both of these will happily connect with those. They got Bluetooth on board, N10 5.1 Bluetooth, 5.0 Bluetooth for the A12. You can connect your smartwatches, your smart bands, your wearables, your wireless headphones, your wireless speakers, all that good stuff will connect happily to both of these devices. You also get NFC on these devices. The N10 5G for sure has NFC, but depending on your market, the A12 might not have that. And that's basically, the NFC is basically used for Google Pay. And both of these phones have USB Type-C for the charging port. Same port found on a lot of other devices such as laptops, such as Chromebooks, MacBooks, Windows PCs. You got iPads, you got tablets, stuff like that. Very versatile port. Unlocking and security, the N10 has a rear mounted fingerprint reader. A12 has a side mounted fingerprint reader. So both of these are in different locations, but they're very reliable ways of opening your device. And for the battery, the N10 has a 4,300 milliamp battery. The A12 blows it out of the water with 5,000 milliamp battery. So it's safe to say that the A12 has the nice feature of having all-day battery life for sure. You might be able to get through the whole day with the Nord N10 battery at 4,300 milliamps, but remember that one's rocking 5G. So if you rock 5G all day, that battery will go down fast. A12 with a big battery, lower res screen, and lower end processor will definitely last you all day and into the next day. Luckily, both of these offer fast charging if you do manage to power down your device fast. 30 watts on the N10, 15 watts on the A12. And last but not least is the price. Both of these are marketed towards the budget market, and they come with very good value. The Nord N10 5G, if you want to get it directly with no contract, with no strings attached, it's going to be less than $280. And if you want to get it on prepaid, for example, on Metro, you can get it for $50 when you bring in your number. So you could get this one for $50. Now the A12, you can get it with no strings attached for around $180 unlocked, and you could get it for free if you go to Metro and port in your number. So you got really good value on both of these. But I say at the end, the better value is going to be the N10 5G, just because it has just better features overall, bigger storage. It has 5G. It has a refresh rate of 90 hertz. Now the A12 has its own bright spots as well, like that gigantic battery. And you got it for, you could save $50 if you port it in, and you could save $100 if you're getting it unlocked. I mean, they have the same size screen. The A12 has actually a newer version of Android. So there's things to consider right there. But I think for more bang for your buck and you want to spend a little bit more money, I'd suggest getting the Nord N10 5G. It's still probably one of the best values in the Android market here in the US. Because of the price, because of the features, it really competes with flagship devices. But the A12, if you're a Samsung fan, this is a phone that you could possibly like, especially with that big old battery. Well guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.